This is Recovery Log Entry 1, date October 3rd, 3306, 0137 hours Galactic Time. Commander Pangolin Rangelin. I have dropped onto a cluster of 3 escape pods, and I am beginning recovery operations. I should have these folks up and back to civilization in no time. Entry 2, 0245 Galactic Time. The pods are on board, commencing a visual inspection of systems. So far, everything looks functional. Huh. That's funny. This one's painted orange. Gremlock suit seems intact. Let's releasing seal and engaging reanimation sequence on pod 1. Oh, what the fuck? I swear Pangolin explains it's in editing. I swear.
My duck is a pretty duck. My duck. Huh. I wonder what blew up. Larzok here. What's the buzz, Pango? It's been a while.
Yeah. Hi, Larzok. I'll just get to it since Scoutnet's reporting you out in the middle of nowhere. I found the boss.
I didn't know Starbeaver was missing. What the hell's been going on back there while I've been away?
It's not Starbeaver, Lars.
You don't mean Cal turned you. He's been MIA for years. What do you mean you found him?
Where's the script for what this time? Where's that script? Give me that script.
Yeah. How fast do you think you can be ready for a staff meeting?
Pango. I'm in the ass in the nowhere, man. Give me a minute to clear some things up. I'll pipe in. We can have ourselves a sit down. We're gonna have to use your ship. I've only got one emitter, unless you can sit on Cal's lap for the telepresence.
Okay then. I'll leave the channel open for you.
All right then. We're here. Yep. Cal. Where's Cal?
Playing the intro.
Well.
Welcome everyone to the very long-awaited edition of Radio Canonn. This is the podcast. As you can probably gather, we are doing this live. Thanks, Lars. Yeah, that's no problem. And yeah, so I, as you might have gathered by that little snippet, I've been on ice for 3 years, and I haven't got a clue what's going on in the world, or the galaxy, should I say. So I thought what I might do is I might bring 3 of our most eminent commanders from Canonn along, and they can sort of bring me up to speed, so I know what's going on. So please introduce yourselves.
I guess I'll go first. Hi, I'm Larzok. I am the former host of Canonn Faction News, Prophet of the Meow, currently out on pilgrimage in Colonia.
Hi, I am Pangolin Rangelin. I study Old Earth history.
And I'm Sovereign Winter, one of the newer members of Canonn, involved with deep space exploration.
Well, thank you very much for turning up, guys. It's nice to see some friendly faces. Sovereign, I haven't got a clue who you are, but that's okay.
But probably for the bed space on that skit.
What skit happened? That is exactly how it happened. So what I thought I'd do is, because I have no idea what's going on, I think what I'll do is I'm going to ask these eminent gentlemen some questions about what's going on, what I've missed, and what could be happening in the future. So I've been on ice for 3 years, apparently. No idea how I got there, and here I am. And I thought, first of all, maybe I should be told what have I missed? What's happened in the last year that of note that I should be made aware of? If you want to just give me some ideas, guys.
Galnet went pretty darn dark for a while. However, of course, there's always something happening, albeit not much.
The great dark age of news is what
Yeah.
happened. It hit everybody. All the funding just dropped right out of the intergalactic newscasting business, and they said, "Screw it! It happened to us too." There's no money.
Yeah,
Bye
several
bye.
months without posts.
7 months.
Several, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Well, even several's quite a lot. So there was no news. There was no idea what happened. It was just empty space.
Oh yeah, total coconut wireless. Like if you didn't know someone on the ground in the system you were heading to, had no idea what was going on.
Oh, imagine me. I've been out in the black forever, and I thought the bubble went away.
Sounds dire.
Oh, that's common. You wait.
Well, that's something I want to discuss as well. But so there was no news, there was no information about anything. What happened to the politics? Did that just stop as well, or did things happen behind the scenes? Any idea what happened there at all? Is the Empire still going?
Until recently, there really hasn't been much in terms of politics. I would say the biggest thing that happened was the Pilots Federation released a new class of commander controllable and ownable ships. And that is the fleet carriers.
I've got one.
We're all getting ready for the Exodus. Get ready, everyone. There's gonna be refugees for everybody.
Oh, refugee. Why?
Don't mind him. He thinks the apocalypse.
Do you want the full church cult
I don't know
explanation, or do you want the other cult's explanation?
It begins.
I'm not sure how to answer that one.
I'll let somebody else go then.
All right, fair enough then.
You said you got a fleet carrier? Where'd you manage to get that?
Well, when you sort of like dug me out of my coffin, and obviously, I woke up and defrosted a little bit and stopped shouting at you.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Don't think it's going to end. So I got a message, which just sort of mentioned to me something along the lines of, we've been trying to get hold of you for a number of years, and we need to inform you that your investment in meta materials that you started back before you disappeared has matured into several billion credits. And I thought, well, okay, I've got money now, which I didn't have before. I was quite poor. So I figured that, well, the best thing I can do is to see what is out there. And then I just happened across these rather large ship things that apparently are quite new and very nice. And I thought, well, you know what? I've got this money. I'll get one. So that's what I've got. And that's where I'm broadcasting from now, actually. That's where this is all coming from, is my nice new carrier. Prophecy in the Void, it's called. There you go. I'm sure that must mean something, but it came to me in a dream while I was frozen, I'm sure. So there you go. That's how I have a carrier. I've got no idea what I'm going to do with it yet, but I'm sure it'll be very interesting. Especially as you're about to tell me that the end of the universe is nigh.
Don't just. If Larzok starts telling
they don't
you,
like when I go on the rants, man.
Larzok, if he starts telling you that the universe is going to end because something to do with some cat, Don't listen to him when he's talking about
No.
cats.
No.
Well, the last thing I heard is that
The
Thargoids.
AI are going to wake up
That's
and
what it was.
purge all of the meat. It won't care if it's our meat or Thargoid meat or whatever the fuck the Alliance is growing out in California Nebula. It's going to get rid of all the meat. And we're going to have to run. That's why we have carriers.
Oh,
I
we
was
talking?
thinking it might be a little more closer to home with these recent terrorist attacks.
Yeah, that's a good point. But
Oh,
I don't
that's
know.
just Patreus playing his Who Wants to Start a Rebellion game again. He needs to shit or get off the pot and throw his coup already.
Listen, as much as I am down for an imperial civil war, as much as I don't like them, I think you've got some things misconstrued. Which,
Right.
speaking of those terrorist attacks,
I have been out here for
speaking of those
18
terrorist
months.
attacks, I figure we should probably explain.
Well,
Let's
yes.
Yeah, you probably
Who-
don't know about those.
Who is the terrorist and what are they blowing up?
They are, I believe it's the Marlinists. Is that what
Yeah,
they're
that's
calling
That's
themselves?
right. Yep.
The Neo-Marlinist Liberation Army found it. That's what they're calling themselves. They have attacked multiple Imperial starports, and as we learned very recently, and it started a little bit of a scuffle, shall we call it, in Eurybia around an engineer who, as I said, we learned recently, she supplied them with modified missile warheads that were presumably used in the terrorist attacks.
Or so the Empire claims, at least.
Or yeah, so the Empire claims. She's claiming, complete innocence, as most people would when they're accused of being involved in a terrorist attack.
Well, Liz has
But-
claimed alliance to the Empire,
Yeah,
really, since she started her work. I'd be interested in why is she attacking them now?
I mean, who knows if who knows if Larsock is right? Maybe there is some inter-imperial conspiracy happening, and Liz has received massive payouts from someone.
All I know is Denton Patreus is the leader of the Imperial Navy. He is charged with rounding up and crushing all of these little dissident factions. For 5 to 6 years, every 2 to 3 years, one of these things pops up. And where'd they get their weapons and funding from? Who knows? I'll root them out and go get them and lock them up and put them in jail. I personally think he's just recycling all of this hardware and personnel until one of these coups actually falls in a way that the population goes, yeah, I'll support this one. Fuck those Imperials and that whole dynasty.
I mean, I'm not one to watch Keeping Up with the Duvals or anything, but isn't Patreus pretty closely tied to Aisling?
Oh, who knows? You grow up Imperial, none of that. That's all made for TV. None of it's real.
I was reading something on the HoloNet about she was getting married or something. What was that about?
That was
That was
a while ago,
um,
wasn't
Was that a while ago? Was it?
That was the marriage of a convenience to prevent an Imperial Federation war that was solved in a different manner. And then that whole thing kind of fizzled. I don't know if there was a car crash or shuttle accident. Something conveniently ended that arrangement.
Well, right. Around that time, it wasn't Patreus and them seen around together?
Possibly, but I mean, she'd be down for crushing the hereditary rule too. So, marriage of convenience, alliance, somebody's, got to run the propaganda arm of their little arrangement. She does that. He deals with funding and organizing all of these little armed uprisings that crop up every once in a while.
Well, that's fair, but I mean, I don't want to drop too much on Cal at once, but NMLA she's not a big fan of them right now.
Ah,
They did sort of kill her dad, didn't they?
plastic fantastic. She can present whatever image she wants. The reality is probably something incredibly different.
What was that about killing her dad? What was that?
Harold Duval was assassinated aboard his personal transport.
And when did this happen?
About a month ago.
Do we know why?
It was NMLA again. They seem to be a driving force behind.
Their
driving
rough
force.
ideology is to destroy the bloodline heredity monarchy sort of deal, crush the dynasty entirely, turn it into a proper republic in actuality, not just in, dress up.
Right. So okay. So what link does? Because I'm still trying to piece this all together, of course.
Yeah.
So what link is this to the recent attacks on these stations? Then why is there a? What's the reason behind that? Has that been established or?
The NMLA basically have claimed responsibility for both, as far as I understand.
And I'm also reading something here that there was Thargoid weapons involved.
That is like part of the reason that
For a number of years now, we've been able to bring certain bits of technology to certain other people, and they've been able to hook us up with some pretty interesting toys. And what happened to the stations was a overpowering of the toys that we can usually get a hold of.
the attacks on the stations were almost comparable to a Thargoid attack itself.
And it
That's
helps that
that's
they use
concerning.
Thargoid
Yeah.
weapons material.
Well, yes, but the fact that they were able to pull it off with modified, human weaponry it's an impressive thing for a terrorist organization to pull off an attack equivalent to that of, a full-on alien threat.
It was so realistic, it actually triggered the galactic-wide beacons. Like, the stations were labeled as burning on the Thargoid attack on the map.
Right. So what does this all mean, though? I mean, you mentioned that Galnet has only just come back, and the first thing that's on there is all these attacks, and there's an Imperial died, and it seems that there's suddenly a lot of things happening at once, and they all seem to be linked in some way. I mean, is this leading to something? Do we think is this going somewhere?
Is it all going to go to the same point?
There's a certain point where I have to ask how much of this show is going to be conspiracy theory related. Like, do I need to get all of the tinfoil out?
It's canon.
I can go full tinfoil.
Yes.
But I don't know
Go full tinfoil.
how.
Hey, before I was put on ice,
I've already pretty much said it. Like, they're coming. They're coming out of the darkness.
Not that tinfoil.
Federation
Not that tin. No.
That's the only tinfoil I got, Pangolin. It's all heavy duty.
What are you talking about? Guardian type people, or are we talking about an entirely different race? Or
Oh, we've been pestering and poking and just digging around in that faster than light communications network for 3 years. How long do you think it's going to take till somebody else goes, what the fuck is on that channel? And starts listening to this. Ram Todd digging around for all the porn stash. Like, you
Break out
know,
the biscuits.
somebody
biological
somebody's gonna come
data.
looking.
Biological
when
data.
We're over here doing the same shit their creators did that they wiped them out for. We're next. We're next, and we're gonna need to get the hell out. Enter the carrier, Drake class.
So you're saying that these carriers have appeared as a response to a perceived threat, you think?
Oh, for sure. Look at the history. The Alliance War, the war that started the Alliance was caused over something like 20 ships in one system at the same time. The Empire and the Federation shat a brick. Why in God's name would they give us access to these things if we didn't need them?
It's interesting you say that because Brewer's the one that gave them to us, and they're making quite a lot of money right now.
But who gave them the go-ahead for that? The Pilots.
The Pilots Federation. Yeah.
Exactly. So who's funneling all the money through Brewer if not for them?
So what are we saying here then? What's the Pilots Federation's aim in all this then, do you think?
Who the fuck knows? They're the shadiest group I have ever had the encounter. Rambling, space mad me. I just.
Well, you see, before I was put on ice, there was rumblings that the Pilots Federation are actually AI themselves. There was a discussion about how they might just be, not a real entity, but just an intelligence guiding or manipulating us into doing what they want. After all, it does seem to me that we do seem to be in a lot of conflicts about insignificant things, and all the while, our ranks in terms of the pilots do gets bigger, and I don't know. I don't know how much truth there is into that, but what you're saying is quite interesting if you link the two together.
And I don't want this whole thing to be me rambling about the
All right,
weirdness
we're gonna
for us. So
gonna-
somebody's
we're
gonna have to
we're gonna step away. We're gonna try to drag it. We're gonna try and drag it off.
with the stick.
Okay, so moving away from impending doom, then.
We could talk about Starship One because I definitely need to catch myself up on that.
Yes.
Well, okay, so I remember Starship One, of course, exploding way back due to what I was under the impression was a malfunctioning drive. It was a prototype, if I remember rightly. So what's happened now?
That's what they thought happened, but they've been digging, and, well, doesn't seem like it might have been an accident.
Oh?
Well, I don't know. Plain, should we start from the beginning?
Yeah, please.
I guess, yeah.
Well, gonna be going on my memory here, so could be some faulty stuff there. But if I remember correctly, there was a initial investigation at close. It was some kind of power spike, is what they registered some kind of power spike, and they decided it must have just been an accident.
Mm-hmm.
But the Federal Intelligence Agency, they think they found a guy. I'm trying to remember his name.
It was it Webster? Rory Webster?
Yes, Chief Technician Webster.
Yeah. He was department head of the engineering for Starship One. He was an officer in the Federal Navy Engineering Corps. And he was he is suspected, I believe, tried for treason and sabotage of the drives on board the Starship One.
Give it a week, he'll be dead. Or
It is a very interesting situation that he's in. Obviously, claiming innocence, who wouldn't? But it just seems like they might be pinning it on him. They got 3 naval engineers that are saying that they went to install some power regulators, which I don't know if we want to go back even further, back to the 3200s with Highliner Antares, but yeah, they've had the same issue with those regulators back then. All of a sudden, they go to install them. Webster won't tell them why they're installing these old drives. These old regulators. Why wouldn't he say?
It's a weird situation. I'm still sort of on the outside of. I haven't done a lot of reading into it myself. But yeah, it is a strange situation for someone pretty high up in the engineering department or whatever he was for Starship One to be just performing adjustments. Feel like that would be a job that you would delegate to someone else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what's the end game? What do you think? Why do you think this has happened? What's the possible reasons? I mean, it's a pretty important technology. So there must be something that there's a name for doing this. I mean, what could it be?
I mean, if you kind of look at it, really, that singular event, really changed the careers of both Winters and Hudson.
Yeah.
I mean, for better or for worse, you want to say either one?
The first time was a convenient accident. It's like, oh, don't do that. It makes this thing explode. The second time was, oh, if we do that, we make this thing explode.
Exactly. We saw the same thing with the Antares. Like, they knew this could happen.
Yeah. This is a railroad job. This guy didn't do shit. He just didn't want to cover it up. That's why he's the one getting nailed for it.
I mean, you could say honest mistake. It doesn't seem that way. I know his lawyers are saying that these engineers have grudges against him. He's had a perfect record up till now, but it just seems that if you work around drives that often, you should know better.
And also the fact that it's basically the same exact thing has happened before.
Exactly.
He wouldn't take the bribe.
Yeah.
So in reality, he's probably innocent, and he's just taking the fall for someone. Then, right? He must have known this could happen.
That would be my guess. I mean, I'd like to hear what Halsey has to say, about the whole thing.
Of course you would. You want to hear what the person who hallucinated all sorts of stuff or whatever?
She's not gonna be talking anytime soon.
There is nothing wrong with collecting people's visions. Good entertainment.
Collecting people's visions.
That sounds really dark.
That sounds fun.
Hey, you pick up on some weird technology living where I live.
Apparently. Okay. So, I mean, apart from that, then, because it sounds like there's been a few things going on since I've been asleep. What happened to the Thargoids? I mean, that was the last big thing that I remember. You see, is that they were like planning to take over the universe, and then they didn't. So, are they still around? Are they still planning something? Have we heard from them? Do we know what's?
If I remember correctly, you up and disappeared a little before we got our hands on some Guardian tech, I believe. I remember that.
Yeah. So the last thing I remember, because I don't know if it's linked in any way. I've got no idea. Obviously, I just don't know what happened. I came across was it an in another base, I think it was.
INRA, yeah.
INRA, that's the one. And I was poking around there, and pretty much don't remember much after that. And the reason I went there is because I visited a Guardian site and I was looking around there as well. And I was talking to some of our esteemed colleagues back in the day, and they reckon there could have been a link between Guardians and INRA. So I had to go and investigate, of course. So yes, I was around for the beginning of the Guardians discoveries, but I don't know much more after that.
Since then, we have been able to reverse engineer and find almost blueprints for a few pieces of Guardian technology. More specifically, we have 3 Guardian technology-based ship-launched fighters. I believe 5 weapons? I can't remember off the top of my head. We have a few Guardian-based weapons now. And these are meant to complement the Aegis AX suite of weapons. They are meant to be in addition to that.
Right, they're the anti-Xeno weapons I've heard about.
Yes.
Right.
However, Guardian ones have the benefit of also dealing a decent amount of damage to human ships, or a benefit if you consider it that.
Oh,
but
okay.
They are dual purpose, so they make your ships a little more
pretty.
flexible, and they are very pretty.
Are they blue?
Very.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, we've basically been, as far as I understand it, Aegis, once they got their hands on the Guardian technology and most of the AX weapon development was, I guess, complete enough for their taste. As far as I understand, they've been holding back whatever tide is threatening us. Besides the occasional incursion in, I believe, Witchhead, was it?
Yeah, our good friend Dr. Palin got hit pretty hard.
Oh, what happened to Palin?
I had to get him out.
Yeah. I had to evacuate him. There were incursions in Witchhead, and ever since then, I think, as far as I know, not really. Aegis has just been holding them where they are. Not much has really changed.
I was going to say, Cal, you probably didn't know the bubble expanded a bit. We got a couple more stations out in Witchhead.
Witchhead. Wow, that's a. I think I've been there once. That's a bit out of the way.
Yeah.
Jump away. Like the bubble is getting big. We're poking at a lot of things out there that might not deserve all the poking we're giving them.
Is the bubble going to burst? Though? That's the question.
There's plenty of people who think that it will.
The Thargoids have been quiet. It's almost too quiet.
Calm before the storm, quite likely. I mean, it could be grubs all the way down underneath every barnacle we know of.
Barnacles, I remember those things. So are they still being? Is it the? Let me think now. Trying to remember my memory now.
And to a very corporate extent, exploited by all comers.
Yeah.
I believe when I was still living, as it were, the Guardians, the Thargoids had those bases that we found. I mean, I don't think we ever discovered what they were for at the time. I'm assuming they haven't come to anything. They're still there. Is that right?
Yes, I think.
So what you're basically telling me then? Let me just clarify this.
Parties have managed to figure out how to get the signals that they send to mean something in a way that we can understand. It roughly means, okay, they're headed this way, they're headed that way. if it's working right and they haven't, figured out that we're doing this and changed their entire encryption protocol.
Well, I'm not sure how clever they are in that respect. You think they would? So just so I can clarify what you've told me so far. Galnet has been quiet for a while. There's been some rumblings in the Imperial side of things that have been classed as a bit more than unrest. We've had, is it only Imperial stations that have been hit? Is that right?
To my knowledge, yes.
So far.
Been no reports from federal space.
Right. Thargoids are still a thing, but they haven't tried to make any sort of really big attack on us.
They're at bay.
They're at bay at the moment. Although, to be fair, they don't have to be at bay. If they wanted to, they could probably just jump straight in and wipe us all out, I'd imagine. But
Probably could, yeah.
and nothing's really happened with the Guardians websites, the Guardian sites, apart from just exploiting their information and resources. So it just sounds to me like I've woken up at a very, very bad time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
about it.
Because something's going to happen. It's the galaxy, in my experience, does not sit still for very long. Something's going to happen, isn't it?
It seems that the only group so far that hasn't have a lot of rumblings is the Alliance. The Imperials seem like they're on the verge of civil war. Federation, who knows what's going on? This could be a potential assassination attempt, and the Alliance just has been quiet as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Do they
I think
have
maybe
an election coming up, the Alliance?
Oh.
Hold on. Let me.
Elections are never a good thing.
The refresh Mahone's painting.
Yeah, basically. I highly doubt they'll elect someone else, but I can. Let me see if I can find their election dates. At least I think I assume they're still running elections. Maybe that was something they secretly dropped.
I know they're the furthest, if I remember correctly, from the Thargoids. They seem to be the safest in that respect.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be interesting if there was some kind of pincer attack?
That's a troubling thought.
Don't mind me. I've been on the block too long.
So have I.
It's a, shall we say, popular theory that the Alliance is in league or is Thargoids.
Really?
It's something that's mentioned here and there. It's
Well,
while I have said it many times as a joke, I don't think it's true.
Well, I've always thought that the Alliance has always felt to be a bit underrepresented, I suspect. And while I've never heard these rumors because I've been asleep, I certainly can't see that not being a thing. So, well, there's a thought. The Alliance in cahoots with the Thargoids, and perhaps they're helping this terrorist group as well. Who knows?
If I remember correctly, the Alliance was the ones to reverse engineer the Thargoid technology to give us a frame shift drive that we use today.
That, and they gave us the ships that Aegis runs as anti-Thargoid ships. They gave us the Chieftain, Challenger, and is there another one, or is it only two?
No, there's three.
Chieftain, Challenger, and
I have to pull up my ship catalog.
Yeah, I can't think of it off the top.
Crusader.
Of my head. Crusader. They're all named after older British tanks. Fun fact.
So they seem to have some connections with them, at least in terms of a fighting standpoint, fighting the Thargoids, ties to the club. Who knows?
Oops. Yeah. So they're pretty heavily involved in basically supplying the fight against the Thargoids, but there's still the thought.
Well, I was thinking maybe because podcasts tend to last for about an hour, and we're about 10 minutes to go. So I thought maybe we could spend the last 10 minutes of our wonderful little show here, maybe speculating on what is to come. What do we think is in store for us? What do we don't want to happen? What do we think is the future of the galaxy as it stands at the moment? Any idea you think? Any wild suggestions?
I mean, wild suggestion. Well, I personally don't see it happening so quickly. It wouldn't surprise me if a imperial civil war happens, split down either family lines or down republic versus monarchist, I guess, lines.
It definitely seems to be going that way.
Yeah. But I could see it happening.
Obviously, I'm a outside observer with the whole politics, but I can say that our favorite blue-haired princess, she's sounding a bit more aggressive than usual.
Yeah. Well, having a father killed by terrorists does that.
I'd imagine.
I don't blame her.
Go savage.
Yeah.
It's just these Marlinist systems. They're on the outer edges of the Empire's control. Is this? Are we talking civil war, or are we talking potential full-scale war with getting the Federation involved? Trying to claim some of the systems that were once theirs before the Empire broke off into their own entity.
I could definitely see the Federation taking advantage.
I'd be a very long grudge, sure, but I guess anything's possible.
As for was it Webster? His motivation, I suppose. Time will tell in terms of, I guess, what the trial finds that he did, depending on whether or not he actually did it. Who knows what could happen with that?
Yeah, my concern there is going to be, years ago the Federation determined this was an accident, and just kind of closed the books and things were as they were, and it took them years. It's been years since Starship One, and they're just now kind of reopening things, and it's almost an embarrassment, isn't it, that this new evidence is coming to light now?
Yeah.
So are they going to I feel like that could be covered up very quickly. I feel like this trial is going to be concluded faster than we would like, and I certainly hope that the due diligence is being done to find out what happened.
I don't trust federal law any more than I trust imperial law. It's going to be a clown show regardless.
Who do you trust?
No one. That's
all right.
The point.
Unless they've got a tail. Well, what about the future of Canonn? I imagine that because there's not really been a lot happening since I've been in Deep Freeze, I suspect that Canonn's activities have been a little bit, I don't know, quiet as of late.
Yeah.
Do we think that we're going to have work to do soon?
I certainly think there will be work to do soon.
I know Sovereign is heading up a mapping project.
Oh, what's that for?
It's since I like to do the whole deep space exploration, I've kind of issued a call to my fellow cannoneers for anyone who would like to go out and explore, and kind of gives us the benefit of collecting more data in various areas of space, especially around Colonia, the Guardian bubbles, but also the good old Pilots Federation does have competitions for the squadrons, and I'm kind of hoping to support a Canonn victory in one of these leaderboards.
Oh, there you go. Is that something we can get involved with?
I have seen a lot of new members, newer than even myself, joining. It's good to see a lot of new faces around and getting a lot of excitement for just going out there and exploring. And who knows what's left to be found? There's plenty in the codex that doesn't seem to be fully flushed out. There's pods without trees. What's out there? I don't think we found it all yet.
Pods without trees.
Yeah. I guess. Are you familiar with some of the biology that we found recently, such as the mollusks?
No, I'm not. Please tell me.
All right. Well, in some recent travels, they found that, other than, of course, the Thargoids and the Guardians, that we are not alone in this galaxy, that there are living creatures, not quite as smart as far as we can tell, but they seem to thrive off such as some surface biology, such as bark mounds, as we call them. They tend to thrive off of the remnants of supernova, the radiation coming from those nearby nebula, and they seem to be doing just fine. And then we have a little bit more interesting things, such as mollusks, that they're kind of like these deep space critters that seem to just thrive off of either some kind of interstellar media or something that we don't fully yet understand. They're getting energy from somewhere. So we are not alone out there.
What do they look like? I'm intrigued. What do these things look like?
You can think of they're basically just space jellyfish. They go where, I suppose, solar wind pushes them, and they eat whatever the solar wind gives them.
Are they harmless?
Far as we can tell.
Uh,
I haven't gotten hurt by any of them yet, though I've only seen a couple.
We're kind of drifting into the minutia of a lot of life that has actually been found since you've gone under. So that might have to be round 2 if we want to get too deep into that. But there is a lot of stuff growing on all these rocks we've been flying over for years.
Maybe we'll get to step on some new ones soon.
Well.
Well, yes, I've heard some rumors about that as well, but we should probably save that for another time. Well, I think I've got a fairly good idea of what the galaxy's got in store for us now, and what I've missed, which isn't a lot. And hopefully, we're going to hear some more from Galnet in the coming days, and maybe even some stuff for us to get involved with, because the one thing I know about being in Deep Freeze is that I really would like to get back out there and do some work, which probably at the moment will probably involve trying to find these space jellyfish, because, well, you never know. There might be a giant jellyfish just waiting out there to attack us all, and that could be the end of civilization as we know it. Who knows? I think I will end the stream there. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming along. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you and getting your unique insights into the world at the moment. Any last things you wanted to say before we end the stream?
I don't have anything specific.
Nothing really. Okay then.
as you're out there drifting around, thinking about weird shit, maybe wonder, was Salome right?
Oh. I think on that note, we'll end the stream. Well, thank you very much for listening. We will most likely be back at another time. I won't like to promise anything just yet, because I've still got to get these icicles out of my bloodstream, and let's face it, they are a bit uncomfortable. Please keep an eye out on the usual media outlets for our next broadcast, but until then, it's goodbye from me and goodbye from my wonderful panel of experts here, and we will catch you once again on Canonn Radio.